Welcome to day 66 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of November 1999, which was Toy Story 2.
I believe that... Okay, I've seen this before, Tara's seen this before, Maya's only seen a little bit of it. So
Apparently the
I think,
part I saw was near the end.
Yeah, so I think you should go first.
Yeah.
Okay. I think in the very beginning you guys kind of preface this saying that you guys like this better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to join that train. I definitely like this one better than the first one, at least like in terms of story and like character development and comedy. The animation was also much better.
Yeah, I mean, that's to be assumed that it would be better, but honestly,
Yeah, but
considering
it's interesting.
it's only, what, like 3 years later or something?
I think
It's
so.
pretty
I think
impressive,
so.
yeah.
And it's noticeably better, so it's pretty impressive how much
Yeah,
better
because
it
it's
looks.
like the same like series or like the same storyline with the same like characters and models, but
Yeah.
you can see that they're much better and they're much more improved.
I also think that the animation quality also looks better than A Bug's Life, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, noticeably better than that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the people look so much more like people now.
Yeah.
Like Al, especially, like you can see like the folds in his face and like his facial hair. It's not perfect, but it's very well done for a movie released 1999.
Yeah, definitely.
What do I... It's very nice to see, like, Woody and Buzz's friendship and how it, like, you saw how they didn't really like each other in the first movie, and then now Buzz goes out of his way to walk, like, what, 19, 21 blocks to rescue Woody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, because one problem that a lot of sequels have, I feel like especially for kids sequels, is they kind of like reset everything.
Yeah,
It's like
they discard all continuity.
It's like the
at once.
characters have to, go through the same kind of arc again, and this is absolutely not the case for this.
Yeah.
It's definitely
a
a continuation.
continuation.
Yeah.
And all the like relationships that were established in the previous film, they carried over, and it was just very nice to see like everyone's dynamic and how it changes with like Buzz now completely integrated into the gang, I guess. I don't know, toy gang.
Toys in the hood.
And it was really funny seeing how like Andy's Buzz and then like the one from the store with like the belt, how they were different because the one with the belt acted like how Buzz used to act in the first movie. And then he's just like, dude, you're a toy, get over it.
Well, it is kind of nice. It's also another kind of continuity thing, because that could be
Yeah.
like a thing where, that's the default Buzz, right?
Yeah, that's the default.
So that's kind of nice that they kept
And
that
then you
consistent.
see again. And the small Star Wars reference is really
Okay,
funny.
so there's of course the big thing, but I didn't realize this. I'd never noticed this before. But during the whole opening video game sequence, so many of those sound effects are Star Wars sound effects.
Oh, really?
Like
Oh,
so
nice.
many of them. Like see, when I think
I
he's-
recognize the lightsaber one
Yeah.
when he's placed
Yeah.
off.
So that was one. When he's being shot at or something, like by those robots, it's the TIE fighter pew noise when they shoot.
Oh.
There was definitely another one. I don't remember. Oh, when it first shows him like landing on the planet or whatever, looking around, you can hear like Darth Vader breathing. I swear there's another one too, but there's like a bunch, and I'm just like, whoa, this is weird. I didn't remember.
Wait, was the melody that played when he was like running across a thing, was that also a reference to?
Well, no, that's that kind of. I don't know what it's originally from, but I know it's in 2001. It's the da da da.
Oh, that's
da,
where
da. Like
that's
that. That's. I know that's in 2001, but I don't know if that's like where it came from. So that.
I've heard that a bunch of
I've
times.
heard it
Yeah.
before.
So
I
I'm
think
sure
it's used
that's
in a lot
not.
of
I'm
memes.
sure that's not where it was originally from, but I can't remember. So. Yeah.
Different reference.
Yeah, but so
Yes.
I do remember, because for me, I watched this film when I was you know, this was kind of like, I wouldn't say this is my childhood film, but I did see this as a young child more than once for sure, good number of times.
Mhm.
And so it's just interesting, kind of. I remembered a lot of like scenes just kind of like visually, but I didn't really remember a lot of the dialogue. There was a lot of jokes that like I caught now that
There was
I'm
like one
probably sure I
joke that
didn't.
you said that you understood now.
Oh,
It was,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is so obscure. So there's a time where the Al, he's talking to like the Japanese guy on the phone.
Mhm.
And first of all, if you notice when he like answers the phone, he actually says like moshi moshi or something. But anyway, this is like background conversation. But he says at one point like, "No, don't touch my mustache" or something. And you're
Yeah.
thinking like, huh? So now I'm thinking like, is this where he got it? My Japanese teacher in high school used "don't touch my mustache" as a way to kind of like pretend to say "doitashimashite," which means "you're welcome."
Oh.
So it makes sense that like that's what he would be saying, right? "Doitashimashite." But that's the thing. I'm like, wait, did my Japanese teacher get that from Toy Story 2? Because it's like,
Oh.
so now I'm like, whoa. So that's super weird. I want to like find him and ask him now. 'Cause it's like, again, like, you know, who else is gonna catch that? Like nobody. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's interesting.
yes, that's such a like a random thing that I happened to notice. But there's a bunch of really small things that like I didn't notice before. I can't even remember it now because there were so many. But
It was just in general a very enjoyable movie. I guess me coming into this, as I mentioned in the Toy Story review, my brother was a humongous fan of Toy Story and especially of Buzz Lightyear and everything. He still has his Buzz Lightyear and Woody plushie to this day. But when I learned that there was a Toy Story 2, I was like, oh god, it's gonna get repeated over and over and over again like the other one did. But I actually enjoyed this one. I never admitted it to Rahul. So, to my brother, I did enjoy this movie. But, so that's a confession, I guess. But, yeah, I also found it very interesting, like, Jesse's background story too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And because of that scene, I became very protective over my toys.
no, it's really interesting because there's two ways you can kind of look at this. One of them is you can kind of see it as like an allegory for like a relationship. Like if you kind of were in a relationship that you thought was really good, but then things just didn't work out and you kind of like,
Oh.
you know, so getting over that's part of it. But that's only the breakup part of it, right? In terms of Jesse being left behind. The other half of it is like, hey, we're not with them for forever, you know, while it's making count. If you really think about it, there isn't really a good like allegory to that. You know what I mean? Like there isn't really it's not really an analogy for too much. You could say it's just you know like, you know, enjoy your young life while you can or something, but that's kind of a different aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because Toy Story 1 was very much like, its message was basically kind of like, believe in yourself and your friends, right? Which is fairly standard, right? So,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because, again, there's not like a very obvious connection with the message and the emotion, but it still works.
Yeah.
Right? You really do feel emotionally connected to what's going on, even though you can't really connect it with yourself. And so the fact they managed to do that is really impressive.
Because the thing is, too, is I think when you're watching the movie and everything, you think of your own toys and that one special toy. Like Rahul, for instance, with his Woody and Buzz Lightyear plushies and stuff. And then I know I have my toys that I, without a doubt, will never give up whatsoever and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I don't play with them anymore and everything, but you can imagine from their point of view how they might think about it too, like as a child.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, but it's creating
It's
that.
adding on to that point.
Yeah, it's creating that whole emotion within you. It's not kind of banking on like, oh, this happened to you as a kid, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
creating
yeah.
something new, which is
Yeah, it's
really
really
interesting.
cool that way. Yeah.
So
That's an interesting way to look at it. And then I guess like her being like accepted by the toy gang is kind of like moving on and finding yourself again, which is I know like a lot of people have problems with that.
yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, another thing to add. This actually kind of does what I was saying the problem with the message in American Beauty was. The message in American Beauty was, again, you know, kind of screw the rules, do your own thing, right? The message for this, part of it, again, is sometimes you gotta do what's good for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's another layer of it. And, like, you know what I mean? It's a similar kind of idea, right? It's putting yourself first in cases, but it handles it here so much better because you actually like the characters, and it makes sense, and the struggle is a totally realistic struggle in this case.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, again, I really come with this for kind of tackling, and it's a lot of stuff, right? There's all these different angles that all this stuff comes at, and it's all handled really well. So it's really impressive to kind of see how they do something like this. And yeah, I don't know. It is kind of it is. I do have. I remember. I guess this is kind of like a spoiler thing for later, but I'll still say it. When Toy Story 3 came out, everyone was all like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing and it's so emotional," and like, and I didn't care for it. I didn't think it was bad, but I just was like, yeah, it's fine, but I don't know, it didn't like get me as much. And maybe if I rewatch it again, that'll be different. But I don't know, like I just felt like everyone was like overlooking Toy Story 2, and that I thought it was just like noticeably better than both the first and the third one. So again, well, it'll be interesting to see if that holds up for later. But that's just kind of something that I always notice, because again, I really felt like this was a continuation, adding new things, keeping the things that happen. You know, they kind of like, you know, they referenced the older thing about how like Buzz was saying, Woody saved his life to rescue me. I should do the same thing.
And then they
right?
mentioned like Sid tying him to a rocket.
Oh yeah.
When they pushed Woody out of the moving truck and everything too.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I really like this continuation. I like all the new things they add to it. I think I can't
There's
really think of
also the
anything
dog that was referenced at the end of the first film too.
Oh, yeah, he's like a little bit bigger now and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. You're right.
The dog, yeah.
It's a little dog.
So I really like this movie.
Yes.
Again, maybe part of it's just because, again, I saw this a lot as a kid. But I don't know. I really like this movie.
Yeah, when you actually like look into it, there is a lot that it does. So it's very impressive for like, especially like a sequel, because a lot of sequels kind of fail in the regard of they don't carry over the same emotions, or maybe they don't like make new emotions. But this one is a very successful one where it takes what you're like left with at the end of Toy Story 1, which is a very like satisfying conclusion, but then it makes it so much more meaningful by the end of the second one.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't.
I would say it's one of those very rare sequels that does it right, like completely right.
Because it feels like it was like the people who made this actually had ideas. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just someone was like, hey, Toy Story's popular, let's make another one. You know what I mean? It was like actually like, hey, there's something else we can do with this, and they actually went through with it. What I also like that they did is that they gave kind of, because like in the first one, it was kind of all about Buzz Lightyear, right?
Yeah.
It was his story and kind of how he changed and all that kind of stuff. This one it actually gave like a backstory to Woody.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because it adds to it, right? In terms of, oh, he was part of this old show or whatever. And that's kind of nice that they have an extra thing like that. Because they kind of had that they already kind of had that for Buzz Lightyear a little bit. They added to it too in this one as well, with like Zurg and that kind of stuff.
But the concentration is mainly on Woody, which is Yeah, I agree. It's also really nice because it's not like they just expanded the one character's backstory. They chose to expand like other characters too.
Yeah.
And again,
I
it's
also
not like it's not like in Toy Story 1 you needed to know Woody's backstory.
Yeah.
But it's still
yeah.
nice that they have it and that they have these things to include that make sense, both in terms of the characters and then also the plot, right? The central core of the plot, and again, how his toys, they feel like they're abandoned because the show is canceled and that kind of stuff. Like, that totally makes sense, and it fits with the theming about how, you know, once stuff went up into space, people lost interest in cowboys. Like, yeah, that all makes sense, right? It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I really like this movie.
No, I agree too.
I like how they also like gave the side characters a little bit more to do this time as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then the traffic stopping scene is really funny.
Oh yeah, I always remembered that scene.
Oh, with the cones.
Yeah, that was like the scene that I always remembered the most. I remembered that. I remember the opening like video game scene. I
remember you said that you remembered it because you were scared of it.
Yeah, no, I was like scared of it. I think it was mostly the spikes like closing in. I think it was that mostly.
Oh, that makes sense.
And also of course when he gets like shot because you know, I remember that. Let's see, I remember the scene. I remember what was the other thing? Oh, I remembered like when he gets sewn up and like painted over and stuff, because it's like it's kind of creepy like how it's shot, and like I don't really know like how it is, but it is. I always kind of remember it.
It's kind of shot like if you're in like a medical room almost.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is
also,
kind of,
like,
but yeah.
It gives you this uneasy feeling, like, because all those scratches and everything, that was because Andy really loved him and he was played with a lot and everything.
Yeah.
So to see all of that get covered up and then finally for his name to get covered up, it's kind of really unsettling.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
Those are the main things that I would remember from it. Like I totally forgot like the I'm your father thing. I totally forgot that.
That was like the one thing that always got me as a kid because I found that hilarious. I think that was when I first I didn't even realize it was a Star Wars reference.
It just felt so random. Yeah.
Yeah, but I found it so hilarious, and then I later learned it was a Star Wars reference.
Like watching this after watching the Star Wars movie it was from, I think it makes it much funnier.
Yeah. No, again, it's just like I totally forgot that was in this movie. So, and I'm sure I saw Toy Story 2 before any of the Star Wars movies. So it's just really funny that like that's in there now, and I'm just like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's a great movie.
Yes.
So
hooray.
Hooray.
We're winding down this year now.
Yeah.
Oh,
This year's been alright overall. I feel.
Overall.
Yeah.
Definitely better than the last several.
Yeah. This is also the last 90s year, too.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
We get to break into the 2000s.
Oh,
it's so
boy.
exciting!
Which was referenced in Entrapment. But that's for next time when we go through everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the big wrap up.
Yep, the big wrap up. The big wrap up after a little movie.
Oh, yeah, it's short too.
It's also a short movie. Yeah, you're right. It's
Quite short.
It's a movie that like I think I've seen like a very small piece of, but I don't remember it at all. So
I remember watching it a lot as like a small child, but
Yeah,
I
me
only
too.
remember bits and pieces of it.
I feel like I might have just seen like commercials for it. I don't know.
I think I saw it on Disney Channel.
Yeah, I had seen it on Disney Channel as well.
But well,
Oh.
that's to be.
We
So
might
next-
have accidentally given it away with that, but it's okay.
Well, it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Bye.
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 Or see you later, cowboy.
Oh my